Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Bill.
How are you?
Still working out production. How are you? A month in.
I'm okay. I am. Oh, I'm excited for a full work day. That's for sure.
Yeah. You gotta stop that right now.
Yeah.
Full work day.
Yeah. 4:30 was not as hard as it was Monday, right? You can get used to anything, but I also just I had that moment of like, oh man, it's already 4:30. Oh, not done, So,
Yeah.
but got to get some good stuff done. I need to make sure that I need to get this but this next sales roleplay group filled. So, talking to some people, and I think I'm going to discount it just for COVID stuff because it's a group, so I can really kind of charge. I don't need to charge the maximum for my time for each person that I'm working with, right? So let me give some discounts because I'm getting a lot of pushback around pricing. So I get it, right? So I can discount a little bit and fill it, which I think is a thing that I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to do like COVID discounts, get some people in here because I do want to help. I just can't help for free forever. So it's one of those kind of weird things. And I know a lot of people talk about you're not supposed to discount on price to get deals in and stuff like this. But I think it's also about the decisions that make the most sense, right? Like this isn't like a desperation play. It's like I really want to help these awesome people that I've been having these conversations with.
Right.
So let me try to make it as easy as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the thought process there. So I'm going to go back.
Having actual pushback on price where it's like, hey, I can't afford this right now, or is it like, okay, so it's not like I would never pay you that. It's
no
that service. Okay.
No, because the process for these calls is we hop on there, we do the role play, and then I talk about what I do, right? Of like, hey, look, we can either do some more role playing groups, or my services go all the way up to X, which looks like finding you a closer, building you a process and a tech stack and everything else like this. But let's just start with you improving your abilities first, right? It's kind of like kind of my value ladder. Okay. And then, there's an assessment available, obviously, because of DISC and Sales Throwdown that we can offer as like a very first step. Mm-hmm. But the groups, I would say, are arguably more helpful to people when they're starting out. And it's cool because like last week on these calls, there was the range of people. Like, I mean, some really interesting people doing really cool things. And I'm like, oh, how long have you been doing this? And like a while. I'm like, what's your revenue at? And they're like, $25,000 a month. And I'm like, what are you talking to me for? They're like, you said you could sell it better, so I'm here. And I'm like, okay, let's go, And then all the way down to people who are still trying to figure out like what does that first offer start to look like? So that way they're getting paid and stuff like this. And I had a really cool conversation with a woman who is kind of a general consultant, and I said, look, does anybody really want to just hire you for like an open-ended engagement out of the gate? And she's like, well, no. And I'm like, cool. So let's figure out like one thing that you can offer to everybody that you're really, really going to kill it at. So that way they get a glimpse of you, you get a glimpse of them, you get to see kind of what you're working with. And then from there, you can make a decision, an informed decision of, okay, cool. Now we can work on this and this and this. And she was blown away. She was like, oh my God, I want this. Where's the invoice? How much does it cost? How do we deliver? It was really, really bought in. And that's what's been happening, right? I get out these calls. I ask for some social proofs that way I can share it, which might be disingenuous, but I think everybody does it in some way, shape, or form. So who cares? And then I'm like, cool. Do you want to join the groups? And everybody has been like, oh yeah, I can't afford that. And I'm like, cool, I get it. But what happens, and this is important, is they don't give you the real answer, right? And it's not because they're maliciously trying to lie to you. It's because they don't feel comfortable sharing the right answer, right?
Yeah.
This woman that I'm speaking about very specifically told me that she's got 3 other courses going on and has made investments in other areas and stuff. And I said, cool, awesome, right? And I didn't try to like figure it out. I didn't try to do anything. I said, hey, could I have a little bit of social proof about the call not being as bad as people think it's going to be? She said yes. And so she sent me that this morning. I was just chatting with her. And I said, hey, random question. How much of the waiting is because of the price? She goes, 90%. It's like, cool. If I put together like a COVID scholarship group that got into this thing for less for at least like the first like 4 or 5 months, and then we talked about raising the rates, would that be a value? And she was like, yeah. So
Okay.
the lesson there is twofold, right? You got to push back a little bit because we had a really good conversation, but she still wanted to deflect and not. So sometimes people aren't even aware that they're like telling a lie, but it's just this kind of other thing shows up, right? So you got to go with them, and then you can push back later on when they don't think that they're going to be judged. Does this make sense?
Yeah, because the walls have to come down. There has to be a comfort level where they can discuss those things. Because I think one of the things that I like about how you show me things in sales conversations is how you make it feel more like less like an interrogation and more like just two friends being curious about each other's business, right?
Yeah.
And it's great. Okay, that's awesome. Well, tell me more about that. I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, that can't be a problem because you already have this. So tell me what the real problem is. And 2 totally different ways to approach a conversation. So.
Yeah. I don't know where I heard this, but the first reason is never the real reason, right? I think that's a Sandler rule.
I heard that too, actually. Yeah.
So you got to push past that because until, this is like a fairly well-known quote, but I've been hearing it a lot here recently, but like, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Kind of deal. And as a guy who has tried with every ounce of my fiber to be the other thing of like, oh, once people know how much I know, they're going to love me, to this idea of like, hey, John, maybe not being quite such a robot would help you out in your business and networking.
Right.
It's been an interesting shift in my head.
Yep, for sure. I love it.
What's your big 3 today, buddy? Or actually, how was yesterday for you? Hold on. We got to tell everybody. Yeah. Jake and I saw each other in person yesterday. And
real life confirmed. Life
confirmed. We're not robots. We saw each other in person. You guys didn't see us in person, much to your loss, because we were both looking pretty epic yesterday. But so Jake has his free hug shirt. So thanks, Maureen, for hooking that up.
Yep.
And yeah.
I did. I had my free hug shirt, and I wore it last night. Jackson plays in the worship band at church, and so I wore it. And people were like, "Where'd you get that shirt?" I was like, "Oh, I got you." So I'm gonna pass some names on to Shannon.
That's awesome.
Even actually, the head pastor was like, "Where did you get that shirt?" And I was like, "Just a friend." And he goes, "We all need to buy them and wear them." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, I'll hook you up." So hopefully, I scored a commission check on 25 shirts. And of course, no one can confirm that we're not robots because only you and I saw each other. But
that's true.
My daughter was there, so we have a witness.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's great. Funny. I walked back inside, and Melissa was like, "Is that Jake?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was Jake." And she's like, "Why didn't you allow him to come in?" And I was like, "Well, we're the Rona first, normally you want to clean the house and do it as a once over. I knew this was going to be quick, but I showed him the backyard and told him that, that him and the fam should come over. And she was like, absolutely. So, you've got,
I'm looking forward to it. Well, I had my map ready, of course, as always. That's the other thing I did yesterday. I went and I picked up a custom mask. I have a friend that does PR and stuff. and she does print and all that sort of things. But she put my logo and my URL right on the front of it like this. So when you open it up and put it on, it says impact over retention. Oh.
I'm trying to decide if I hate that or not.
I know. I knew sharing it, you might hate it, but as long as I'm wearing one, you might as well.
That's fair. You know, I went down to that client's office and down in Cleburne on Monday, and the mask that I've been wearing is just so thick, and like I can't really breathe through it. So I'm like, oh, I'll stop and buy some like disposable ones. So I bought one, and then I'm in Cleburne, which is fairly small town, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen when I get out of my vehicle with this mask on and I go into this office, because this is a new client. I don't know them very well. That they don't know me very well, and this whole mask thing is a very personal decision, right? You know, it's how much risk do you want? And so I'm like, you know, so I go in and I'm wearing a mask and everything, and they're not, and you know, that's fine. You know, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, but yeah, working for an hour and a half with the mask on, of just like every breath fogging the glasses. Oh. See, in the OR, right? When I used to work in the OR, they would make these special masks for people who wore glasses, and there was adhesive around the nose, so it would go shoom and really kind of like seal off, and then you could breathe, and it would go out the sides. But that was fairly interesting. And then here's the other thing. So I signed up for Planet Fitness at the beginning of the year because I've got some buddies who went there and I wanted to get into lifting, and then all this stuff happened. So I emailed them and was like, hey, you know, you guys were nice enough to give us a couple of months off. I don't feel comfortable coming back, you know, and I definitely can't work out in a mask. So can we just cancel this as an exception? I was like, no, man, can't do it, yada, yada, yada. So I wrote back and said, hey, you know, this is not because I'm not working out. I'm working out at home. I just don't feel safe. I've deviated septum and some breathing issues. So breathing out of my nose is a chore normally. You put a mask on, it's impossible. So, you know, what are we going to do? And then I said, this might be outside of your pay grade, and that's okay. If it is, can we talk to someone who could make an exception? Mm-hmm. And flipped on the dime. Oh yeah, sure, man, absolutely. So if you're struggling with COVID stuff, you know, or your revenue's not where you want it to be, and you're making some cuts, like, don't take the first response, right?
Okay, right. That's a perfect example of that.
Push back just a little bit. Don't be that person, right? But just be like, hey, look, I get it. Yeah, this might not be something you can do, and I get that. Can I talk to someone who could potentially make this decision? Right. And, you know, if I'd shown up and been, you know, piss and vinegar or whatever, then it probably wouldn't have gone anywhere. But there were no threats made, you know, or anything else. It was just like, hey, look, you know, so if you're struggling, then make some of those considerations, because it doesn't make any sense for me to pay the $25 a month for Planet Fitness, which is absurdly cheap. But like, when I don't feel comfortable going, why would I pay for that? Yeah,
so absolutely. Well, you might be the only person in North Texas who gets what I'm going through, because I didn't realize you had deviated septum either. So I've got the deviated septum and the glasses and then the mask on, and it's just fogging, and it's like hard to breathe anyway. And so then it's like, gosh, I can't wait to get out of this mask.
Yeah. Eventually a friend of mine, Victor, a couple of years ago, he went in and got his septum done and got his adenoids and tonsils like pulled out, because he didn't really want to like sleep with a CPAP, you know, for the rest of his life. And he said it was significantly improved. Yeah. So eventually that would be the goal, is to go in and get adenoids and tonsils and fix the deviation, and then, you know, all that stuff. But that'll be expensive, and that's some time out of the office. So for sure, that goes on the wish list.
Yep. Cool. Well, what's your daily three? What you got on
today's catch-up day. Catch-up day and get some work done day. I got to figure out today is about trying to figure out, I need to rewrite. I'm looking for a closer for one of my clients. So I need to rewrite the ad, because I put out an ad in some closer groups and didn't really get any traction. So I'm going to reword that and get it back out there today. I need to figure out some lead magnet options and some things like that. So we've got the LinkedIn referral guide, and I need to be like promoting the crap out of that, so that way people are hopping onto the email list, because they really want to move off. You know, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Really want to get away from everything being in Facebook. I don't really think it's great. I don't think it's scalable. There's all these issues with it, and then just everything you have to do to game the algorithmic juices that you don't have to when you're dealing with email. Your life is just so much easier. So I need to get 3 to 4 solid lead magnets put together so that way I can just keep offering those and do really quick offers around those, so that way people get into the email lists of these different things, because that's my big KPI goal anyway.
Totally. So Brian Dean would to spend 20% on the lead gen and 80% on the promotion.
Yeah,
just promote the crap out of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm excited for July 1st, because that'll be the new 12-week period, and we can
get to do a deep dive.
Yeah, we need to do a deep dive, and maybe we don't record it because it might be longer, but maybe we do. It's up to you. I'm fine either way.
Whatever works.
Because that's a Wednesday, so we could do a long one on Wednesday, or we could just kind of get together on like Saturday or Sunday and do all the planning, so that way the formatting is the same.
Yeah, we can figure that out. We could even do well, let me see, what's the date? Okay, that's creeping up fast.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that offline. We'll figure out the best way to handle that. But cool. I think it would be good to do a recorded version of what we do, no matter what. Maybe we do it on that Friday that's the 3rd, after we've already done the meeting. Maybe we can just do a summarized version, an hour version on Friday or something.
Okay. Or maybe we just do it and record it and then put it up as like a separate video.
Yeah, there you go. We won't live stream it. We'll just record it, and then whoever wants to watch it can sit through our ramblings for however long that takes. Yeah.
If you want to see how we're going to do like the 12-week year process, and then figure out our big kind of goals, and then that should have a direct impact on what our weekly bills look like, and stuff like that. So if you want to see more, then you can do that as we're figuring it out, because this will be the first time that we've done our 12-week kind of plan together. So it'll be interesting to see how that shows up.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your big 3 today, Bill?
So I've got on-support work. That's going well so far. I got some more of that today. I'm going to be writing a value post today to post tomorrow. So I'm going to be writing it today.
Nice.
And then I've got some more just work, like blocking, tackling, as you call it, and some sections of reshoots. I can say, not that because we're already 8:03, but I can say that I am getting caught up on Content Camp now, finally, because you've asked the question a couple times, on seeing things that I just want to make better. I'm finally at that spot now where I'm like, okay, I don't need to reshoot this section 2. I need to go, no, I just need to get it out and get it finished and complete. So I did have some of that yesterday for the first time. I felt like that I noticed.
Nice.
So I pushed back on it, but in my head, as I'm sitting here talking to you about reshoots today, I'm thinking about other areas. I want to reshoot some more or shoot some additional footage. I'm like, no.
Well, and make that version too, right? Because like one of these things that the people in this world talk about is when you add the reshoots later on, right? There's more value, because it's like it's and arguably it makes more sense to do it that way, right? Run a group of people through it as it is, and let them tell you, hey, this was confusing or anything else. And so that way, when you say, awesome, I've invested in 3 hours of improving this thing based upon the feedback that I've gotten from clients. So it's a little bit more.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And it's easier to do it that way, because, it makes more sense. You get a product out there sooner, right? Okay. And you make the improvements based upon feedback. One of the things that neither one of us are like in a SaaS company. I do plan to do one eventually. But one of the things around like software is like, don't create features that people don't ask for.
Oh yeah.
Right.
For sure.
So I think it could be argued that no one wants you to try to reshoot this for like a 5 or 10% lift. They would rather have access to it and work through it and have the benefits on the other side.
That's what's so silly about the mental battle, because once you see it for what it is, it's like, haha, There it is.
Mhm.
Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Because even I shot an email course for Quirk, and I'm probably about 60% of the content of it is mine, my sections or whatever. And I was done in a week, and we put it through some feedback, and I added 2 additional videos, and it was all done in 10 days, right? So
what's the difference between that and this one?
that one's just how to write email, how to write effective email. It's called Email is Easy. And it's literally, it's kind of for the person who hasn't done email marketing per se before, so that they know why they're using it, how to use it. It has templates, they have walkthroughs, all sorts of stuff. The content one is literally how to build a content campaign, like a piece of content with a lead generator that's going to get you engaged with actual customers. Because actually, I'm pretty proud of the premise of it is that I feel like I know a lot of people have asked a lot, is people write content to get engagement. They don't write it to get sales. They think it's that whole sales marketing divide. There's a lot of people that don't understand the difference in the type of content that you write to sales versus the type of content you write to get likes and engagements and shares and collaborators. And you can use all those tools. Those are all great things, but that's really what it's about, is how to create a campaign. If you think of what traditionally a campaign is versus just like a value. A value post is a one-time thought that can call someone to action around a thing. A campaign is, I have this whole set of things that people are going to see over a amount of time that's going to draw them into something that goes, I need to fix that. And this
when you can do that in email, you've got a lot more control over everything, right? The thing about like social media is that these algorithms are there, so they've got their own agenda. So it's harder to go deeper. It's harder, because I've got, I don't know, 3,000 friends on Facebook or something like this, and most of them are acquaintances, right? So not everybody wants to see all my stuff. Okay, cool. A lot of people are only connected with me because they want to sell to me. Okay, cool, right? So the cool thing about doing like content and lead magnets and moving it over to email is like you only get the people who raise their hands.
Exactly.
Right. And since they're raising their hands, you can go deeper, right? You can cover more information. You can get more in the weeds with them. You can collect information from them and stuff like that. So there's a ton of value in moving over to the email side of things. But
and that's actually the waste that I'm talking about. Because a lot of people put a lot of really good content out that 70, 80, 90% of the people on their page don't care about. And so when you're building content campaigns to get people into email, you're opening story loops. You're just continuing to open story loops of, hey, is this you? Is this you? Have you thought about this? Do you like this? You struggle with this? And when you continue to open these story loops, somebody's going to connect with one and want to go deeper. And then that's when they get into your email. And then you don't have to waste all that breath on. I've been personally very guilty of doing lots of good how-to content. I have a 30-day how to build a personal brand over on LinkedIn. 30 days of content for free that's out there that probably wasn't the best use of my time, other than it did authority on LinkedIn. I got a lot of recognition around it, and so people see me as someone who's good at maybe possibly talking to about messaging your own personal brand out. But that could have been a course that I could have given away or charged for to the right people. So, So I'm excited to get that out, because I think it's a kind of a little bit of a different take than if you're not in the marketing industry or in the content industry, and even some of those people don't really practice what they preach, right? I feel like a lot of people don't understand the difference, and just because they're ignorant, not because they're dumb, they just don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think in my head of like, what kind of content do I make, right? Because, especially on John Small Mountain, the goal, the mission statement, is information that would have helped me 5 to 7 years ago, right? But the thing that I've been noticing is like, I don't really know how good of a job I'm doing of giving myself information that would have helped me, as opposed to information that I think that people are looking for, right? And so then I'm like trying to figure out what that really looks like, right? Because there's no real monetization of John Small Mountain, right? I mean, I've got the Sherpa newsletter, and there are affiliate links in there sometimes, if I can find one. So I make a little bit, but not anything crazy, and that's fine, right? It's not meant to be like a monetization play. It's just that everybody comes and asks me random questions for suggestions around tech and stuff. So I just decided to put it into a newsletter. So maybe I should just be less concerned about that and just write very specifically.
And we talked about this, and I think this may be something that you're looking at yourself now. Is if John Small Mountain is truly just a personal conversation with yourself 5 to 7 years ago, then I absolutely think you should not give a flip what anybody thinks, because it's you talking to you, and that's what it is. And the question is that what you want to put out there with your time to help monetize the other things? That's the bigger question, which goes back to as we started this, was you've got 3 things going on, and Small Mountain is kind of like your personal baby, right? But is it serving you for your business?
It's funny because a buddy of ours was getting in DBA yesterday, and he was like, "What do I call this thing?" And it's like, just put it under your name for now. Like you have all the time in the world to go figure out a name and stuff like this, but like don't slow down the ramrod of trying to get like started, right? So you can do branding, you can build a website and everything else like this later, but like go have lots of conversations, like go talk to people and get feedback of like, yes, I see value in this and things like that, because then after that you can build a brand around the target avatar and what they're going to see value in, as opposed to just living in your own head, which is exactly what I did with Adapted Growth. I mean, I didn't talk to anybody. I was like, this is a cool name, and I like the logo, and let's go, kind of deal. It hasn't been bad, but going back, I probably would have waited, right, and just been more focused on like getting some clients and stuff like this, because at this point it's kind of weird, because like I've got Adapted Growth, right, and I don't really post on Adapted Growth. Melissa's going to take over all that content eventually once we have the plan built, which is probably one of my new 12-week goals. Most of my content is under John Small Mountain, right? On Facebook is where I do my daily value posts and things like that. So I don't know.
Yep. I actually thinking about this, and I think we should probably wrap up because I got to get rolling.
Yeah.
I would love to take you and Melissa, since she's on your team, through my clarity of purpose exercise, just to see where y'all end up. Because take your current assets,
totally down,
and put your mission up here, and then see how the pieces fit and see where there's gaps and stuff.
Yeah,
I would love to take y'all through that, because I think you are ready to gain from that.
Would you want to record that?
Yeah, we could totally do that. That'd be awesome. That's actually I've been meaning to. So I do this for clients right now. It's a $2,500 like half day exercise we go through to clarify everything, and we re-record every one of them, but they're not for public consumption. So we could do one that we could publicly air. That would be kind of like a freebie of one of my larger offer things for people. So that'd be awesome. It'd be fun to do.
Yeah, let me talk to Melissa about that today, because I think it would help her, because like she's nervous about taking all this over, and she's like, this is your baby, and I'm like, I know, and I'm way too close to it, and I trust you, and you're amazing, and you're
right,
and then so that would be incredibly helpful. I would love to record it if it would help you. Maybe we don't do it live, but we record it so that way if anything. Yes, it comes out.
I can even edit it and make it a whole lot more consumable.
Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
Sounds good. Well,
I'm fired up on that.
Yeah. And
man.
I'll connect with you offline, and then we'll cover the thing today and talk about it tomorrow.
Awesome, man. Cool. I'm super fired up. Have a great day, Bill.
Yeah.